wonder if I can just jump in there. I don't know if I can jump in. We're gonna try it. What's up, everybody? Damn, I don't think I did that right. Do I need to turn the screens on? Not that you're gonna be able to see them, but I'll turn them on. What's up, everybody? Average Joe here, and welcome to another Average video. Today's video, we're gonna be doing a side-by-side comparison between the two most talked about and two most recently released portable power stations. So right over here we have the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra starter kit, and then right over here we have the Anker SOLIX F3800 with expansion battery kit. All right, basically what we're gonna do in this video is just a side-by-side comparison. We're gonna go over all the specifications one by one, so let's get to it. All right, so to get this party started, I'm basically gonna try to make this as simple as I possibly can. All right, over here on the left, we have the Anker SOLIX F3800 with one expansion battery. And on the right, we have the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra. And also, moving forward here real quick, I'm just gonna say that I'm not gonna say the entire name every single time, basically because it's a mouthful and I'm sure it'll get old. I'm just gonna stick to Anker and EcoFlow. All right, first thing on the list is the battery and battery capacity. Both use the lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry, which is pretty much the safest battery that you can get. All right, so the Anker power station has 3,840 watt hours, and so does the expansion battery. It is 3,840 watt hours for a combined 7,680 watt hours, or 7.6 kilowatt hour. The EcoFlow has 6,144 watt hours, or 6.1 kilowatt hour worth of battery storage. Of the two here, obviously the Anker has slightly more battery capacity. Next is the inverter, and for the US model, both of these have 120 240 volt split phase inverters. 240 volt split phase is what we use here in the United States, and it's great that both of these have it because you can use either one of the two to hook up to a generator inlet port or a transfer switch to basically power your house or power critical loads when the grid goes down in an emergency, type situation. All right, both of them are capable of doing that. All right, so the Anker has a 6,000 watt inverter, and the EcoFlow has a 7,200 watt inverter. All right, so 6,000 watts can power basically everything in your house, and that includes your electric stove, your air conditioning, and your dryer. Not all at the same time, but each one individually. 7,200 watts can also power pretty much the exact same thing, obviously because 6,000 watts can do it, okay? Both can power everything in the home. All right, so of the two, the EcoFlow has a slightly bigger inverter output. Next is going to be all the inputs and the outputs. AC charging, that's basically where you plug it into the wall to charge them up. Both can do up to 1,800 watts. However, you can also adjust those through the app. Okay, both of these do have an app that you can download for your Android or iOS phone. Once that's installed, you can connect with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. That's both of them. And inside the app, you can adjust how fast or how slow you want to charge them. The only thing that's different, I guess, between the two of these is the EcoFlow also has a switch where you can switch it from high to low charging. Anker does not have that on the outside. All right, next is gonna be all of the AC outputs. All right, so on the left, the Anker has two 240 volt outputs. It has one L1450 and one L1430. Now, don't get confused when you're looking at this 50 amp port right here, because the inverter, remember, is only 6,000 watts. And right here, it actually says it's 25 amps. So you can only get 25 amps or 6,000 watts out of each of these plugs, okay? All right, it's basically two different ways of getting 240 volts out of the power station. One is for directly charging an EV, and the other is for powering an RV. The EcoFlow only has one 240 outlet, and it is a L1430. However, the output for this one is 30 amps. Anker is 25 amps, EcoFlow is 30 amps. All right, next is EV charging. If you wanted to, charge an EV from these, I don't know, maybe you have a towing company, or maybe you have an EV that's stranded somewhere and you needed to throw a couple of miles in it so you could get to a charging station, okay? All right, so as they sit right here, the Anker, all you need to do is hit the inverter button twice and wait for the little tiny car to show up on the screen, and then you can plug in your EV and start charging, okay? For the EcoFlow, I don't think you can technically do that. I'm pretty sure you have to buy basically more accessories in order to do that. So as they sit right here, the Anker has the ability to charge an EV. All right, for the 120 volt outlets, the Anker has 6 120 20 amp outlets, and the EcoFlow only has 4. However, the EcoFlow does have the RV style plug that is 120 volts, 30 amps. All right, so both of these are designed for RV use. Next is the UPS function. Both of them do have the UPS function. Over here on the Anker has 3 120 volt outlets that are on the UPS side, and then over here on the EcoFlow, it actually has a couple different ones. You get 2 120 volt 20 amp outlets that are on a 20 millisecond transfer time, and then you also get 2 120 volt 20 amp outlets that are on a 0 millisecond transfer time. All right, next is the DC output. All right, so the Anker has one 12 volt cigarette lighter adapter port. The EcoFlow does not have the cigarette lighter port. However, it has a Anderson style port over here. The Anker over here has 3 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports. The EcoFlow only has 2 USB-C ports and 2 USB-A ports. All right, next is the solar charging. All right, so both of these have 2 solar charging inputs. The Anker over here uses 2 low voltage XT60 ports. Each port can allow up to 1200 watts each for a total of 2400 watts. All right, there is some voltage ranges on those, and there's 2 different ones for the Anker. The low voltage side, which is more for like car charging, stuff like that, voltage range is 11 to 32 volts. And then for your solar panels, it's still low voltage, but it's 32 to 60 volts, all right? And this one also comes with the 3-way MC4 parallel connectors. Now the EcoFlow also has 2 different solar inputs. They have a low voltage and a high voltage, all right? The low voltage side has an XT90 kind of proprietary plug that does come with the unit, by the way, and the high voltage uses MC4 connections. The voltage range for the low side is 30 to 150 volts, 1600 watts, and the high voltage side is 80 volts up to 450 volts, 4000 watts, for a combined total of 5600 watts. All right, EcoFlow obviously has more solar capability. All right, next is going to be the weight. Okay, so the Anker weighs in at 132 pounds just by itself. If you add the expansion battery on top, which we obviously had, that's going to be another 72 pounds for a total of 202 pounds combined. The EcoFlow has the battery down here on the bottom, and that weighs 116 pounds, and then the inverter, which is right above it, weighs 70 pounds. So a combined weight of 186 pounds. All right, next is the movability or portability of the two. All right, so starting with the Anker first, without the expandable battery on top, you actually have a handle that pulls out the top, and you can cart this around just like luggage, and you can basically go over, all terrain, if you will. If you're not doing that and you're basically pushing it around on concrete or hard surfaces, you could put a battery on top to move it around. Just remember, it might be a little top heavy. It does have 4 wheels on the bottom. The back 2 are the bigger, 4 to 5 inch range, and then the front 2 are the swivel caster type, and they are lockable. So it does roll around on concrete or hard surfaces, really well. Now the EcoFlow, obviously you can't move this around in the grass or anything like that as it sits right here. It does come with the little four-wheeled cart on the bottom. You get 4 castered wheels. All are lockable. I would say you could only move this around on hard surfaces. However, you can also buy another accessory which is more of a dolly style cart. It's got bigger wheels on one side and just a stand on the other side, and again it has an extendable handle so you can pull this around just like luggage, but that is something you would have to purchase separately. So of these two, obviously the Anker is going to take the win on that for being more portable, and movable. Okay, next is the expandability for just the single power station right here, okay? Obviously, both are expandable. You can see on the Anker, we do have 1 expandable battery on top. However, you can expand up to 6 batteries, all right? And that would be 26.9 kilowatt hour worth of battery storage. The EcoFlow obviously can also accept batteries, and you can add up to 5 batteries for a total of 30.7 kilowatt hours worth of storage. So as they would sit right here and you expanded the batteries only, basically, the EcoFlow is going to have slightly more battery capacity. All right, next is going to be if you were going to expand these all the way out, basically adding more inverters and batteries to like a full complete system if you were trying to go off-grid or start your off-grid journey, okay? You can do that with these as well. All right, so for the Anker, you can actually parallel in a whole nother Anker SOLIX F3800. That's the bottom side with the inverter. All right, once those are paralleled together, 2 inverters is 12,000 watts worth of output, okay? And then, of course, each one can expand up to 6 batteries each, or a total of 12 batteries in total. That is 53.8 kilowatt hours worth of battery storage, 12,000 watts worth of inverter. All right, and then there's one other thing that you can do with this, which I don't have here, but it can also be connected to a home power panel, which is actually their first AC coupled portable power system. Basically what that is, it's another panel that you would wire into your electrical system at home, and that acts like a transfer switch. You can hook up solar panels. If you ever lose power, everything's going to automatically switch over, so you can still, continue powering your house as normal. It can do all sorts of things. I just don't have it here to give a proper explanation, but it does have the capability to do that. All right, and then for the EcoFlow, obviously you can parallel in another inverter and 10 batteries. So 2 inverters gets you up to 14.4 kilowatt of output, and then 10 batteries is 61.4 kilowatt hours worth of battery storage. However, to parallel the two, you also need to purchase their 50 amp generator hub, okay, separately. But wait, that's not it. You can actually parallel in a third inverter and 5 more batteries. So 3 inverters, that's 21.6 kilowatt worth of inverter output. 15 batteries is 92 kilowatt hours worth of storage. However, to parallel all 3 of those together, you're going to need to purchase their smart home panel 2, all right? And basically what that is just another sub panel that you would add to your house. You would add critical loads to it or loads that you would want to take off grid, and it does all sorts of stuff like that. So obviously, if you completely build out both of these systems to their max, the EcoFlow is going to be more inverter and more battery capacity. All right, and then I do want to mention one quick thing between the two is with the Anker and the home power panel system, you can power your home with both grid and rooftop solar simultaneously together with AC coupling. All right, the EcoFlow can only power your smart home panel 2 with grid or, the Ultra. It doesn't have the AC coupling function. All right, so that's basically all the specifications side by side. Which one has a little bit more, a little bit less. Of course, if I miss one, definitely let me know down in the comment section. All right, next we're gonna go over some of the pros and cons, of the two that we see right in front of us. All right, we're gonna go over the cons first, okay? So cons for the Anker SOLIX F3800, all right? You cannot do AC and DC charging at the same time. The next con would be the low PV voltage input and the 2400 watt input. That's its max. I guess it's kind of a pro slash con, and I'll tell you why real quick. Is the con is if you're using this as a complete home backup, you're kind of limited to the solar that you can connect up to it. However, if you are using this more as a portable system, I think that's kind of what it's more designed for, is more portable or portability. And most people that bring portable power systems like this, they also bring portable solar panels, and a majority of those are low voltage. All right, so that would be, it's kind of like a con slash pro. All right, my next con for the Anker is it does not come with a MC4 to XT60 solar charging cable, or two of them. It only comes with the 3 parallel adapter. However, they can be purchased on the Anker website here in the near future. The next is gonna be for the EcoFlow. All right, so over here, if you wanted this to be a portable system and take with you, in my opinion, you're gonna wanna buy the dolly so it's easier to move around. Could you get away with not using the dolly? Yes, you could, but with the dolly, you can move this whole thing around easier. The next con, which is kind of a couple, is the EcoFlow is more expensive, and you also need to buy, specific accessories, to make it a little more user-friendly. And my example for that is if you needed to move this around to make it portable, I would personally want to get the dolly cart to make it easier to move. If I were using this to parallel, two of these together, then I need to buy the 50 amp generator hub, which allows you to combine the two. There's just more things you have to buy, to use the EcoFlow. I mean, I guess you still have to buy some things for the Anker, but it seems like you have to buy more accessories for the EcoFlow. All right, and that's my personal cons between the two right here. All right, next, obviously we'll go over the pros. We'll start with the Anker first. First one for me is it is a lot easier to move around. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, once you remove the expandable battery on top, you have the easy handle which pops out, and you can pull this around like luggage, through the yard, etc. Really easy. The next thing would be is the Anker is cheaper. A big pro for me, which actually goes for both of these, is they are 240 volt split phase. That is huge for me because I want to use these personally as a backup in my house. Now the next one has to do with EV charging, and I'm going to tell you right now I don't have an EV, so I'm not up to date on all the EV charging and discharging technology. All I can go from is what I've read for these two right here. So from that, what I know, the Anker, you can charge an EV easily without buying any adapters or anything like that. Basically, you push the inverter button twice, a little tiny car picture shows up on the display, and you're ready to charge an EV. I'm pretty sure, which could technically be a con for the EcoFlow, is I think you need to buy another accessory cable to do that. I could be wrong, and if I am, please let me know in the comment section. And finally, for the Anker is it can easily start my stove, my air conditioning, and my dryer. Not at the same time, but each one separately. Not that I would be doing that a lot unless I had this fully kitted out, but it can do it. All right, next is the EcoFlow. You actually get more accessories with, with the starter kit. Next one for the EcoFlow is you can do AC and DC charging. The next pro, which is just like the Anker, is it can do my stove, air conditioning, and dryer. Not all at the same time, but you can do each one individually. Again, I wouldn't typically run those items on, just a single battery. I would more or less do that if it was fully kitted out. I'm just basically saying it can do it. And then my last one is the solar capabilities. You get high voltage and low voltage solar. The low voltage actually goes up to 150 volt. and the high voltage goes up to 450 volts. Something like that allows you to use your rooftop panels, run a bunch of panels in series. It just makes it a lot easier to use solar with the EcoFlow. All right, so I have one more pro/con or conclusion between the two for the expandability aspect is for the EcoFlow, you can only power the smart home panel 2 from grid, or from the inverter and the battery right here. All right, and if you already have an AC coupled system or a grid tie system, it might not work with your existing grid tie solar system that you already have, or that many people already have. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, and then for the Anker and the home power panel, all right, that can work with your existing grid tie solar system that you might have already had installed for years, but don't have a battery backup. All right, so basically Anker gives you the ability to use your existing grid tie system plus add a whole home battery backup. I guess you could technically use either one of them as portable. Just seems that Anker is, designed to be portable specifically for RVs and home backup. Yes, you can use the EcoFlow as RV and home backup, but my personal opinion, the Anker SOLIX F3800 is more suited for short-term backup power, and the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra is more suited for long-term backup power. Those are my personal pros and cons between the two right here. If you have your own pros and cons, definitely put those down in the comment section as well. All right, final thing is going to be the price, and of course that's only going to be at the time of this video. And I also understand that each company, they have different discounts and stuff off every single month or every Black Friday, etc. I can only go off of at the time of this video. So if you get the Anker SOLIX F3800 and the expansion battery on top, this bundle right here, with discounts and all that kind of stuff, it's only $4,699. All right, and then for the EcoFlow, at the time of this video, I actually don't even think there's any extra discounts. If there is, I'll list it down below, but from what I could see right now, the price for the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra is $5,799. All right, isn't that kind of crazy? You actually get more capacity, but you get more inverter over here. This one's a little bit more expensive. This one's cheaper. How crazy is that? All right, and I think that's all I have at the moment. All right, so I know we went over a ton of information. It's going to be really hard to remember basically everything. So I'm going to put everything up on the screen so it's easy to see. And of course, if I missed anything, I'm going to throw that up there as well. If you need to pause the screen or do whatever you need to do, go ahead and do that. All righty, I think we're going to start wrapping this video up here real quick. So that's going to conclude my side-by-side comparison between the Anker SOLIX F3800 with expansion battery bundle kit versus the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra starter kit. Just like every other video that I do, I want to hear your questions, comments, and concerns. I want to hear any pros or cons that maybe I just totally missed. Do you have a preference for EcoFlow? Do you have a preference for Anker? Do you like one over the other? Do you despise the other one? I just want to hear your guys' thoughts between the two. All right, that's pretty much all I got. If anybody's interested in either one of the two, of course, I'm gonna have links down in the description. Don't forget to like that smash button on the way out, and I will see you on the next. I wonder if I can just jump in there. I don't know if I can jump in. We're gonna try it. What's up, everybody? Damn, I don't think I did that right. What? Damn, I think I f***ed that up.